Republican presidential candidate and senator from Texas, Ted Cruz. Senator, welcome back to the lead.
Thank you, Jake. Good to be with you.
So if you were in the Oval Office and this intelligence were confirmed, and obviously it's not 100% right now, but if it were confirmed that this was an ISIS bomb that brought down the plane, what then? What would you do immediately?
Well, listen, this is an opportunity for the United States to focus Russia's energy on ISIS. ISIS is the face of evil. And if they're responsible for this horrific terrorist attack, that's all the more reason for a concerted effort and a concerted commitment to destroy them. I mean, if you look right now, part of the problem is Putin, I think, has taken the measure of the man in Barack Obama, and he doesn't respect him. And it has limited, once Putin determines that Obama is not credible, that he won't do what he says, that makes the prospect of our working together seriously to target ISIS a lot less plausible.
Well, let me ask you then, if we were to go down that route as a nation and seek a greater alliance with Russia on fighting ISIS, which seems to be what you're suggesting, how would that affect American protests against Russian incursions into Ukraine? Should those become secondary concerns because the truth of the matter is ISIS poses more of a threat to us than Russia going into Ukraine?
Well, listen, you can do both, and that's one of the things American foreign policy has long recognized, is that you can pursue more than one objective at one time. So, for example, when Russia invaded Ukraine, at the time I called on President Obama to do two things. Number one, to install the anti-ballistic missile batteries that had been scheduled to go into Poland and the Czech Republic. Obama and Secretary Clinton had canceled that in 2009 in an effort to appease Putin.
Right, during the reset.
Yeah, and the appeasement didn't work. That would have been a powerful statement of America standing with our allies. You know, I met with a number of conservative EU members who were in town yesterday, and we were talking about exactly this issue, and it was striking that all across Europe, the members who were here were nodding and saying that would have had a powerful impact on underscoring that America stands with our allies. And then the second thing that we should have done at that time is there were then 22 applications pending in the federal government to export liquid natural gas. President Obama should have held a national TV conference and said, I'm approving every one of them right now today. Now, it would have taken some time for those to process through and flow out, but the effect of that would have been threefold. Number one, it would have helped the people of Ukraine and Europe stand free from Putin's economic blackmail, that he uses energy to blackmail them. Number two, it would have hit Putin where it hurts, in the pocketbook. And number three, it would have created jobs and economic growth here. Now, that's an example where we can press back against Russian aggression, but doing that is not inconsistent at the same time when you have a malevolent force like ISIS working with them where our interests coincide.
Well, let me ask you about ISIS, because you are not alone among Republican presidential candidates in suggesting that the solution is increased airstrikes in Syria and Iraq against ISIS targets and to arm the Kurds, the Peshmerga. But there are increasingly national security officials and military officials who say that's just not going to be enough. More, at least Western combat troops, if not U.S. combat troops, are going to be needed. But you haven't been willing to go that far. Lindsey Graham says, Senator Republican running for president as well, that if you're not going to be willing to put 10,000 U.S. troops in Iraq, 10,000 in Syria as part of a coalition, you're not serious about fighting ISIS.
Look, there are some politicians who like to support boots on the ground in every conflict across the globe in an effort to lean forward and show how tough they are. I don't think this is a game of risk. I don't think it should be politicians moving armies about. I think it should be driven by the national security imperatives and the military needs on the ground. Right now, what we're doing is utterly ineffective. And I've spent a lot of time consulting with senior-level military advisors, both active duty military and retired generals, admirals.
Right, you're on the Senate Services Committee.
And I believe our approach to ISIS should be twofold right now. Number one, overwhelming air power. And it's worth underscoring, you know, in the first Persian Gulf War, we had about 1,100 air attacks a day. It was overwhelming. After 37 days, Saddam Hussein's army was crippled, and we mopped in there in 36 hours because of the impact of that overwhelming air attack. Right now, we're launching 15 to 30 air attacks.
Yeah, it's a small number.
It's photo op foreign policy. And then the second piece, the Kurds are boots on the ground right now. They're fighting. They're effective fighters. They're loyal to us. They've been strong allies. And ISIS is using U.S. military equipment that they seized in Iraq. The Kurds are using outmoded equipment. And the Obama administration refuses to provide weaponry to the Kurds because they think it would dismay Baghdad. I think that makes no sense.
It also dismay the Turks.